video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to make a card using the JND432 Spring Wreath, which is a new die from the John Next Door collection. And you'll notice here the wreath in the centre is the same wreath as we used in a Christmas collection from last year. But I've made this slightly bigger. We've added in lots and lots of sort of more everyday pieces in that, so you can use it all the time. And it's just a beautiful wreath, but just making it that little bit bigger really makes it feel as a card. So it gives you a beautiful piece panel that will fit a 5x5, 6x6, 7x7 and so on. So to get started, I've actually made a card blank piece already, and all I've done is I've used the Nellie Snellen Clover Square stamp, and I've stamped this in 3 colours of fusion ink in the pearl. So we have the sunlight, we have the coral here, and then we go into the flamingo. So I've just stamped that across, and to match that for the flowers, I've just taken a piece of our coconut white essential card, and again I've put the same 3 colours onto there, just put them down randomly so we can cut our flowers from that. So what we're going to do start with is to cut our wreath. So we'll take that out of the way, and I've got a piece of white card here, so nice and simple, but a piece of coconut white essential card, and I've just cut this to 4 inches square so that we're not wasting any card, and the shape that comes from the centre of this is beautiful as well. So we'd simply take that and we will run it through our die cutting machine. Always make sure if your die cutting machine has bits on the plate that you clean those off, because they will mark the card. And we'll just simply run that through, and I want to run this through to cut it to show you, because this has a particular feature on the die in that there are no release holes to take the wreath out, and the reason is that they're too fine and it actually warps the wreath when you take it out. So there are release holes in here to take all of the pieces out, that will get all of the bits out, because you don't want to be stuck with those. But to take the die out itself, you would simply tap it, and the die cut itself will just release from the die, and that way, because it's quite delicate, it maintains its integrity, which is what we want it to do. If you start poking on some of these bits, they can break, so we've done that specifically. So I've got that there cut in white, and I've also cut it in the matching yellow. And so if we bring in the card blank, you can see here what I've done is I've cut a white panel out using the stitched and the plain circle included in the set. I've then cut a piece of the stamped centre out using the plain circle in the set, and I've simply foam mount that over the piece I've cut out so that the colour matches. And to put this together and to glue this down, we're going to actually use some pin flare glue gel, as we want this to stand nice and 3D. So I'm just going to use some of the glue gel. You can use foam pads if you want to, but because this is quite delicate, they will show. So I'm going to start with the yellow, and I'm simply going to take a few little lumps, I'm sure there's a more technical term than that, of the glue gel. And we're just going to add those around on the back. And because this is completely clear, it doesn't show. So we're just going to place that beautifully there in the centre and give it a gentle tap down. And we're going to do exactly the same with the white one. So I've cut this in 2 colours, and I found cutting it in 2 colours really gives you a beautiful twist. So if you were making an autumnal one, if you cut it in a dark green, something like the Christmas green, again from the Craft Artist card, and the chocolate, you would get a really sort of festive autumnal look to it. Again, do it in a very dark card and add Christmas flowers on. You can do a lot of different things with this one. So all we're going to do is just offset that slightly and place that down. You can see there, you've got that beautiful 3D look, very spring-like, because you're seeing all of that colour. So I'm going to pop my glue gel away. And what I've done next is, in this set you will get, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets of the leaves, and they're almost like little heart leaves, like little shamrock leaves. So I've cut them in a mix of colours. So I've cut them here in the light green and a darker green. And again, to stick these on, I'm just going to take a little bit of our Craft Artist glue and lay it down on the board. And I'm going to start with the dark green, and I just find, again, popping them into the green, into the glue, allows me to stick those on without having to actually add pressure on, because obviously this is still a little bit damp. It will take a while for the glue gel to go off. So I'm just adding here a little spray of those 3 colours. I'm then going to add in a little bit of the lighter green, and you can mix around with the colours sort of as you like and what suits what you're going to make. So I'm just adding those little lighter green ones in there. Okay, and then I'm just going to take 2 of the lighter green and pop those in at the top, and take 1 of the smaller in the darker green and offset that onto it. So we've got that little double spray there working through. And then next I've taken the flowers and the card that we made just using the 3 colours of Fusion ink. You can use 3 colours of any ink. And I've cut those out. And we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 flowers. And to shape those, just take your ball tool and scribble in the middle, which will give you a lovely 3D edge. We're just going to add our flowers, so I'm going to take a pair of tweezers and I'm simply going to dip them in the glue and add those on top of the foliage. So I'm just making a lovely little grouping of the flowers. So you get 4 of the larger ones, and then we'll take some of the smaller ones and just mix those in. And you see it pulls out those colours that we've got going across this whole piece. So we're just dropping them on gently, because obviously our wreath has still got its colour. It's still got its glue drying slightly. So you can see there, that lovely selection there. And here, I'm just going to put 3 little flowers, just so we're echoing it on one side. So nice and simple, but nice and clean and easy. And then I'm going to grab some of the Pearl Dimension from Craft Artist, which I found with these smaller flowers is the best way to put a centre in. So I'm just putting little dots in, just touching them in, and it just makes it pop that little bit. And again, don't move yourself, move your card. So if you need to get into a different direction, move the card rather than trying to lean over and use your hand. There we go. And I'm just going to add, to keep that sort of idea going of the gentle sort of spring and the little pearl bits, I'm going to add a few little touches of the pearl drops just on some of the leaves, just so we've got a lot of nice sort of little depth and dimension. And again, I'm going to add some randomly around my wreath. There we go, nice and simple and easy. And then in this set you also receive the double stitch little banner, which is perfect for adding a sentiment in the middle. So here I've actually got one in yellow and I've got one in white, and I've stamped the sentiment in the white one of "With love always." And all I'm going to do is to take a pair of scissors and cut the yellow one in half. Nice and simple. I'm then going to add a little bit of glue onto the back of the white one and offset it so that I've got the yellow just popping through on one side. Do the same with the other side, just like that. So I've got that little bit of yellow, and I'm just going to shape the ribbon slightly so you can see there. Now make sure it's actually glued properly first, give it a little press, because obviously we're using PVA glue. And then I'm going to take some more of the glue gel. Again, you could use this with foam tape, but I find this a lot easier. So I'm going to put 2 layers into the center and just a little bit on each end of that ribbon bow. And obviously you will need to set this aside to dry, probably a good 24 hours, but we're just going to move that across, there we go, and get that nicely in the center of that card. So we've made a beautiful, really, truly 3D, which would look gorgeous when you've gifted it in an actual box frame for somebody, just using everything within the JND432 spring wreath. For more ideas, hints, tips and inspiration, why not visit the Crafting with John Next Door and Crafts 2 group on Facebook. Enjoy.